So my goal today is to actually log in to my app. The first day was kind of fun because I was doing the UI, adding screens, adding little features and buttons. That was very fun. And yesterday I spent a lot more time doing the less fun stuff, installing and configuring packages and tools that I wanted to use, which is not as fun, but very, very necessary. One tool that I got working was React Native Debugger. If I'm going to be using Redux, if I'm going to be making network calls, I want to be able to see the state of my app and see what calls are being made and the responses, etc. So having a good debugger is important. So I did that. Another thing I did was set up a .env file for my base URL, my API URL, and any other secret things. Now, .env files are not as straightforward in React Native as in just React for the web. You actually can't really have it. It's not supported. So there's an extra package, let's see, React Native .env that does allow you to use .env files in React Native. And of course, every package I do, since I'm using TypeScript, I need to import the types as well and sometimes configure that. Another thing I found out about React Native is you can actually, so the import statements were getting long, and they are only going to get longer as the app grows. And one specifically, so here in my, I made a utilities folder and set up an axios.create base URL API URL. So I can just use this as my Axios instance so that I don't have to put in the URL wherever I do an Axios call, right? Now, if I actually want to use this somewhere, it's going to be quite the import statement to get it from the utilities file. So for example, I created an authentication folder, and here I'm going to have an auth slice. And this import statement was getting pretty long. It was like this, right? And I thought, this is gonna get even worse as time goes on, as the app grows. So I wanna find some kind of solution to this. And there are other solutions out there, especially with third-party packages that you can use. But I found out in React Native, you can actually create a package JSON for any of the base folders. So in utils, I created a package JSON giving it the name utils. And then an extra configuration, I had to do tsconfig base URL is source, so that the app knows that the base URL is source. This folder is going to be called screens. This folder is going to be called utils, right? So that when I use it in the slice, I can just do utils axios. And it's the same like in navigation. Where's my navigation? Here it is. Navigation can be here or here. So you notice all these screens I imported, I just had to say screens. So that's pretty handy. I enjoyed doing that. Okay, so I am set up to, and this is what a slice looks like. And this is another thing I did yesterday, was set up the Redux toolkit and configure the store. So here's the store. And with the Redux toolkit, configuring the store and creating the store is a lot simpler. So much less boilerplate. Now I'm gonna have multiple reducers. This is just the first one. So the first one I made is the auth slice. And right now it's not doing anything. Like, it just has the initial state. So if we actually do this, here, let me just do it. We're actually gonna see the state of the app when we run this. I'll reload it. And here we go, token null. We see what the state is. Very nice. Now I have some kind of error here that I really want to figure out. So unfortunately I wasn't able to resolve this conflict here because I guess the latest version of React Native Debugger doesn't support the version of React DevTools and React DevTools Core, and that's where the issue is coming from. So I can either downgrade it to a previous version of React Native Debugger before this was a problem, or I can wait until they fix it on their end. But at least I'm seeing the state here. I'm not seeing the change in state, which is supposed to show up down here. And I don't like having errors, unresolved errors. But one good thing that came from this was when I was trying to do different versions of DevTools and React DevTools Core. I installed different versions because Stack Overflow said that might work, and it didn't. But I had to delete my node modules folder, and that came up with another error with the entry point. So I found out how to redefine the entry points, because this is where it was originally defined, was in the node modules folder. So when I deleted that, it caused problems. But I redefined that by importing the register root component in my app file and doing it here, and then defining it, the entry point here, source app. And so now that's not a problem anymore. I can delete my node modules whenever I want. It'll be just fine. But anyway, I can move forward with what I have. Now, if my goal is to log in, then I need a login screen for one thing. I mean, I created an auth screen here, which just right now says my login, right? Okay, so far, so good. Here's what I've got so far. Email, password, and a login button. And I can focus on it. Whoops. Oh, right, I enabled the keyboard so that you can see how it avoids the keyboard with this keyboard avoiding view. There's also safe area view, touchable without feedback. That means that if I press outside of the input fields, it dismisses the keyboard dismiss, right? And then I have 2 text inputs. Now this is a lot of repeated code, so I might abstract this out and then have just one that I pass props to. So we'll see in the future, cleaning up code. And then just a login button that right now console logs login. And we can see it. Let me just disable the keyboard right now so I can type. I disabled capitalizing the letters, and I also made this a secret so that you can't see what I'm typing. Now we only want to see the auth screen when I'm not logged in, right? So I added some navigation, and I also added is authenticated to state, because that's the very easy way of setting state so that I know whether the user's authenticated or not. Actually, I did some changes to file structure based on the style guide, the Redux style guide. So I now have an app folder with my app tsx and store here. And my app only has the root navigator in it. It used to have all this other stuff, which is now on my home screen. My home screen now has the app bar header, the fab button, the bottom tabs, the status bar setting, etc. All that used to be in the app. But now the app file just has the providers and the navigation container with the root navigator. Now the root navigator, boop, is where I have the logic of whether the user is authenticated or not. So if the user is not authenticated based on the state, then you're going to show the auth screen, and if they are authenticated, you're going to show the home screen. So you can see right now I'm not authenticated. Is authenticated, false. Now if I just change this logic to if they are authenticated, show this, and if not, do this, then you see the home screen and all the same things we had working before. So that is excellent, but this logic is incorrect, so I will change it back here. So we see the auth screen. We've got the basic UI for a login form now. So now I just need to set the logic here, and then when I submit it, then I will actually make an API call and log in. So that will be next time. For now, it's ready to go, and I can commit all this code so it's saved remotely. So until then, I'm ready to go on the next leg.